As the Second Industrial Revolution gave way to the Progressive Era, Americans looked for someone to solve their problems. Who would crush monopolies like they were pieces on a board game? Who could make sure our food was cleaner than soap? One man, Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt, also known as Teddy, TR, or the Bull Moose, was a man who overcame great odds to become the President of the United States. For example, at 25 years old, Roosevelt was met with unbelievable tragedy when his wife and mother both died on the same day, Valentine's Day, 1884. This was the person that the United States needed. Someone who had seen great tragedy and learned from it and rose above it. One of Teddy Roosevelt's favorite phrases when he was happy was to say, "bully," which is like saying swag or awesome today. He would often send letters to others celebrating their success and have the phrase bully somewhere in it. Born in 1858 with severe childhood asthma, Teddy Roosevelt struggled to participate in most activities. In the 1800s, this could have been deadly, especially if Roosevelt contracted a disease like tuberculosis. Instead, as a teenager, TR decided that asthma would not defeat him and took up what he called a strenuous lifestyle. This meant that Roosevelt started working out, hiking, and took up boxing to strengthen his body and lungs. Like many in the boxing ring, eventually Theodore Roosevelt literally knocked out asthma from his body. Bully. In 1894, as police commissioner of New York City, Roosevelt was approached by a muckraker who said he wanted to improve tenements in the city. Roosevelt walked with the muckraker and saw firsthand how bad some buildings were in the city. After seeing the shape of these tenements, it was Theodore Roosevelt who helped lead the way to fix tenements in New York. By the way, the name of the famous muckraker who showed TR around, it was none other than the legendary Jacob Riis. Bully. In 1898, while serving as the Assistant Secretary of the Navy for President William McKinley, a war broke out with Spain in Cuba. Roosevelt quit his job, took a ship to Cuba, formed a group of soldiers called the Rough Riders, and charged at a defensive Spanish position up a hill while being shot at with hundreds of bullets. Not only did Roosevelt survive, but his actions in that battle helped win the entire war for the United States. Bully. After coming back from the war, the Bull Moose became the governor of New York. After a year, President McKinley called Roosevelt again and asked him to become his vice president. Unfortunately for McKinley, 1 year into his new term, he was assassinated. This made Roosevelt president. In fact, it made Roosevelt the youngest president in American history. Bully. As president, Theodore Roosevelt devoted his time to improving the life of the average American. He told people he wanted to give them a square deal and spent his time making sure that food was clean, the environment was protected, and that monopolies were destroyed to help Americans. Roosevelt became so successful at crushing monopolies that he became known as the Trust Buster. Bully. During his life, TR liked to hunt. For example, in Colorado, he held the record for killing the largest mountain lion for 106 years. At another time, he freed a wounded mother bear, giving stuffed animal bears the nickname teddy bears. And at one time, according to one writer, TR tackled a cougar by himself and killed it with a hunting knife. Bully. As one of the most famous Americans, Theodore Roosevelt was both very popular, but was also targeted by many. In the most infamous example, Roosevelt was giving a speech on October 14th, 1912, when a man stood up with a gun and shot Roosevelt in the chest. The bullet went through TR's glasses, his glasses case, a 50-page copy of his speech, and then went into his chest. Instead of rushing to the hospital, he pointed at the man who shot him, told people to beat him up, and then said, quote, "Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether you fully understand that I have just been shot, but it takes more than that to kill a bull moose." The doctors then left the bullet in the bull moose's chest for the rest of his life. Bully. In the end, Theodore Roosevelt was considered one of the greatest presidents to ever live. He protected the environment, he devastated monopolies, and he made certain that American food was clean. His legacy is chiseled into Mount Rushmore, where he is one of the 4 presidents etched into the side of a mountain. The progressive era and the history of the United States itself was forever changed by the actions, successes, and words of the one and the only Bull Moose. Bully.